everybody, to the Entrepreneurial CPA Show. Even during the COVID-19 outbreak, still here with that deep dive you need to break free of the box and punch above your weight. And as you'll see, Dr. Sean is still in quarantine. So I've got a special guest star today, Rafael Casas, Senior Manager for Sage Accounting Solutions. Rafael, how's it going today?
It's going well. Thank you for having me. It's it's very fortunate to be in sunny California, and I don't know how the weather is over there, but it's been a turbulent several weeks. So we're all just keeping it together.
Yeah, well, for us, we got a little bit of snow this morning, so I'm not too worried about your sunny California weather.
Nice.
So, Rafael, behind the scenes, when we talk together at the Sage Accounting Network, the Sage Alliance Board, wherever it is, we talk about bots a lot. And I thought it'd be great to talk right now about why bots are still relevant during this time of COVID-19, where firms shouldn't think about, oh my God, it's too crazy, I can't think about it. Why bots are still a great idea to dive into right now, and pick your brain a little about kind of, understanding bots, and we'll do another episode where we go deeper. So what do you think firms need to know why bots are still relevant today, and what should we be thinking about when we hear bots inside a CPA firm?
Yeah, great question. I think there's an article I can share later about 6 pertinent questions that you can talk to yourself about or talk to your business about before even thinking about implementing RPA or understanding what that is. But if you kind of simplify what an RPA, robotic process automation, or in some terms bots or robots is if you go back to maybe at least a decade ago, Microsoft GP had something called macros, and really what I like to think of bots as is macros on steroids. It's really going to allow, from a perspective of your user interface, to really just mimic the types of processes that you're doing that are really mundane, and it's going to allow areas of capturing and existing information, interpreting that from your existing applications, and processing transactions, manipulating them, and plugging them in. So one possibility that's very current right now is, from the SALT Act that's being changed, where you're going to have possibly a lot of amendments from the 1040X. This is where something like a bot can be really beneficial to help mitigate doing all those tasks. So if you think of something that a lot of folks are familiar with macros, using that to be able to just do these processes, but a bot is going to be more aligned with not just myopic processes, but end-to-end processes. So, that's how you really want to think of that. And, I've always found from the get-go that some of these big firms that are already implementing bots or have their own RPA internal team, it's not the bots that are the biggest issue. It's actually the culture shift of a lot of employees in the firm might think that this bot is going to take my job, but that it goes a lot deeper on that, because culture eats strategy, in my opinion, when it comes to looking at bots or implementing bots, because it's going to allow for these valuable folks to actually drive more value to their customers from an advisory standpoint, which I think is really, really important right now, where businesses need it most from an advisory standpoint, from them having to move away from doing a lot of these 4 to 6 hour mundane tasks and have it be implemented and done and run by either an intended or an unintended bot. And I think these are things that firms need to really start thinking about, as this is a long-term approach. Right now we're just looking to weather the storm and looking to make sure that we are pivoting our business to survive. In a lot of cases, some of the firms are doing really, really well because they've already been positioned for something like this. But I think this is another initiative where they can continue to be even more successful, as this may just be a dress rehearsal for something that happens later down the line.
Yes, Rafael, let me ask you this. With that, you kind of talked about bots' role versus the workforce. If I'm a partner in a firm today and I know my people are already busy or stretched thin, or I've lost some people due to COVID, either they can't work remotely or they are sick. That's the only question. Right now, are bots a great solution to come in and help supplement my current workforce in these times?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think it's an investment that needs to be made because it's not only going to be a long-term investment, but it's going to allow for the firms to have business continuity in this particular case. Um, I've seen some firms like Hyde Bailey who have really made a major investment in this, and I know that it's helped them quite a bit to make sure that for those layoffs or furloughs or anything that may be happening during this time, that they can still make sure that they have the business continuity for those types of processes. And to segue into that, the biggest, in my opinion, the most important area for implementing RPA or any of these bots is standardizing your business processes to understand and being able to determine what types of use cases in my firm is this going to be applicable for. What's more of a rigid type of business process that I have, and reevaluating that. I've had the opportunity of implementing and designing RPA and bots for small business, mid-size, as well as tier one media broadcasting companies around the world. And the biggest pitfall that I've seen is not spending the majority of the time working through a proper business plan or standardizing your business processes from a firm standpoint, as well as from how these bots can help from a client standpoint. Because not only does that waste a lot of time, that wastes thousands of dollars of having to re-engineer those bots. So, Hyde Bailey did a really great thing of having their own committee within their firm to make sure that they're treating this like a software project, just like anything else. It shouldn't be treated anything different because this is a long-term project with steering committees, having a lot of user acceptance testing. You don't want to treat it any differently than that. It's not magic, but this deeper level of automation is going to help the firms, be much more successful.
And I think something you said there on, driving that standardized process is really important right now. As firms are dealing with all this chaos, the confusion, who's working where, who can work, who can't work, having that standard process really helps keep the ship running. And then the bots come in on top of that and help supplement to make sure the ship is running, even when nobody's there. Even when the office is empty, it's dark, there's no one there, the bots can still do the work. So that, Rafael, something you said that we don't often hear about when it comes to bots, and it's a really, really important topic I want to ask you about, is you mentioned unattended versus attended bots. Can you explain to everybody the difference between those two flavors of an RPA?
Yeah, there's actually three. So there's an attended bot, an unattended bot, and then there's a cognitive bot. So in a sentence for each of those, an attended bot would be something like a front office automation where you can configure the bot to work together with a human. So that means you'll have more intervention from an auditing standpoint to make sure that before you trigger the bot to do an additional task, you can make sure that, for instance, data is accurate before you do that. Then you've got something like an unattended bot, which is more of a back office, which is a fully automated end-to-end bot, teaching a robot how to do a full end-to-end process, as opposed to, an attended bot would be something like a batch processing of invoicing, where you can it's just doing one area. But if you were looking at some sort of like a fully automated unattended bot, it could be something where it's pulling information from a trial balance and converting that data with data accuracy into tax forms for you from end to end and uploading those. So, that's an example of more of a full end-to-end bot. And then you've got the cognitive bot or intelligent bot, where that's going to make sense of all the data formats. It's looking at all unstructured data where there's artificial intelligence, looking at all the data points that are out there, and then starting to make adjustments on its own to cater to the type of data sets or the type of forecasting that's happening to make sure things are a bit more scalable, and it's making its own pivots. So, those are the cognitive AI bot is something that's more of a trend right now, but it's also, there's a lot more complexity to that.
Interesting. So for us, inside our firm, we've got a couple different bots. So for us, the unattended bot is we got a number of things where we get signed engagement letters back from the client. They're automatically saved to a document management system by a bot. Unattended, they do it every single time. It's simple. Attended bot for us would be our e-file bot. Before it pushes the e-file button, it makes sure everything's there, saves the PDFs. Someone looks at that to make sure it's right, because we would have messed that up. But we don't have any cognitive bots yet, but it sounds like that should be next up on the list, is to dive into that. So Rafael, to kind of wrap it up on this, bots can provide a great resource to firms right now in these crazy times. They can work 24/7. They're not going to get sick, not impacted by COVID-19. Firms should get started. What's the number one thing firms should do today? Like, hey, I'm listening to this. I've got some breathing room post 415. I want to get started with a bot. What should I do?
I think first thing you want to do is just do some research internally, introspectively, look at your business, look at the types of processes that you have now that don't need the advisory skill set that a human would need. So things that are very rigid as far as your processes go, and break those up as you do in your firm already, of what is something that we would need that we can use to have be an attended bot, and what processes in our system or in our process of a business can we use an unattended bot at to just help with this workflow. Because I think the most impactful piece of a firm is the advisory side, the type of intelligence that you bring to the table from being a true business partner to these businesses that need it more than anything. And then aside from that is understanding who are the big players and the implementation process, and we can get into that in our next session. But one thing you want to make sure to do is set an hour a week. I think you may have possibly more time now, maybe not tax accounts, but to just look at this type of technology and look at your business and see where that fits in.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you for sharing those thoughts, because I know you and I are both huge fans of bots and thinks they're going to really transform CPA firms in 2020 and beyond. So if you're watching, I encourage you to get started. The biggest thing I can tell you from our own experience in deploying these bots is some of the people are a little bit uncertain at first of how much this bot's going to do, but there's so much extra work and advisor work to be done that we're really just freeing up the most basic level of work that no one really wants to do. And everyone's moving up all the way from the most administrative task and person up. They're getting that push up from this bot that does it repetitively, consistently, every time. So if you're dealing with COVID-19 or whatever you're watching this, embrace bots. They're going to change how your firm operates. So with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this special COVID-19 update. Hopefully you're staying safe. Don't forget, click to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay up to date on the knowledge coming out. And as always, we challenge you to take action today to change this crazy world and continue to invest in yourself.